I'm going to call the Select Board March 11th meeting to order at 11 a.m. Or 11:01 a.m. I don't think that there are any changes to the agenda. We're meeting remotely via Zoom. We'll be taking all votes by roll call. And we will move to licensing and petitions, license holder request for renewal of pedicab license for Nantucket, Michael Gormley, manager, as based on the 2023 season. Amy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you said, we're starting with renewal of a pedicab license. As you know, that was granted in 2023 on a trial basis. Regulations, Chapter 316, were established in 2011, but this was the first time I think we've had kind of a test of this. And Michael Gormley and Nantucket participated in that. So the request here today is to renew the pedicab license granted on an annual basis, permanent annual basis, to Nantucket. Now, one thing I want to be specific about is I know the word is out about suggested changes to the service area and to other items in Chapter 316. And just to emphasize that that is going through the prescribed process with other boards for recommendations that will eventually be brought to the select board to consider for a regulatory amendment to Chapter 316. So we aren't discussing any new changes to that. This is just a request, an actual annual renewal for the pedicab license based on the terms of Chapter 316, including 2 pedicabs, gratuity only, and the area map as outlined in 316. And I
And
believe
this
that's it. Yep.
this was a pilot program. So is it technically a renewal or a
We base it on that because they did operate based on these terms. So I did classify it as that. Could it be a
okay,
new? I think it was okay to classify it that way based on those terms, as long as we are renewing his
renewing
permit to
it as
operate.
is?
Yeah, correct. And like I said, any changes such to any of this will be brought to you on a Wednesday meeting as a change to the regulation for you to consider. So
Okay, so
that
we'll
will
be
be
scheduling a public hearing for that soon. So it's probably
correct.
like a month out or so.
That's
Um,
correct.
okay. Are there any questions from the board? Matt?
Yeah, just first off, I want to disclose Michael Gormley worked driving for a few shifts last fall at the end of the fall season, but I feel I am fully capable of hearing this and not being influenced. Uh, the question I had was, will we discuss whether it's a fee basis? Will you talk about that at the select board level?
Correct. When we discuss any changes to the regulation, absolutely, that will
All
be
right.
discussed. And I'll just add that, certainly it has been recommended renewal of the operations has been recommended by BPAC and others. I know Peter Burke from the chamber, who's on here as well, said he's happy to speak on the professionalism and the operations as well, if you need any recommendations of that sort. But so far, just the base operations have been recommended.
Brooke?
Amy, were there any issues at all, complaints, problems?
No, not that, I spoke with Officer Mack, who patrols downtown, and others. And again, Peter Burke had nice words about it as well. No,
Okay.
I did not have complaints. Obviously, we're always, going to make sure about pickups and drop-offs and making sure. And I think Mr. Gormley is aware of all that, locations. I certainly spoke with him to say just be, aware of anyone getting in with open liquor or things of that sort, especially since it's such in high view. He certainly is aware of that, and we didn't have any issues with that. But I just wanted to make sure that was one thing to be watched out for. But yeah, no, we did not have complaints or anything of that such.
Okay.
Michael Gormley? Oh, sorry, Brooke. Did you have a follow-up? Okay.
Just to follow up on that, at a previous traffic safety hearing this fall, previous Chief Pittman also made a point about how he didn't receive any complaints. Furthermore, Mr. Burns requested that I had a QR code adhered to both tuk-tuks, just for people to publicly and anonymously leave feedback, and there was zero complaints through that platform either.
Thank you. Erica?
Thank you. One concern I had was about the lights on the back, the Nantucket lights. Not like the safety lights, but the light up part of your brand.
Michael?
I don't have a lit up part of the brand.
Okay,
For
somebody had
Stroll,
contacted saying that.
well, they may be thinking for Stroll, I had like some garlands with some lights
Okay,
wrapped
just want to
around
be
them,
sure.
which held around. Yeah, but it had nothing to do with the branding, and it wasn't anything permanently adhered.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Or is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move, we approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor by roll call? Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
aye.
John Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously 4-0.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much for taking the time to hold this hearing. I appreciate this.
We'll see you soon for the next phase.
Thank you, Michael.
Next up, we have licensing and petitions departmental request for renewal of our seasonal liquor licenses.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, acting as licensing authority for the town, you must vote to renew existing liquor licenses on an annual basis. In December, we did those that are annual liquor licenses. In the month of March, we do so for the seasonal liquor licenses. Those are licenses that operate or are allowed to operate from April the 1st until January the 15th. And again, renewal of these existing licenses allows for the process to begin for issuing the licenses to operate. This renews it. And again, they are still required to go through inspections. I need to have fire safety certificates, meaning the COIs, before anything is issued, and payments and such. So that's what this process allows for. Again, we're through it in March. We may have to come back if anything changes. A couple things to comment on. The one non-renewal we have is for LH Manager Northeast LLC, DBA The Pearl, at 12 Federal Street, as we discussed in February. That was surrendered by the select board at that meeting. And a new license was applied for. Again, that was after we'd gotten the renewal. So we just need to do an official non-renewal of that to help that go through. A couple additional notes I need to bring out. Foggy Nantucket has been reported is no longer has a lease at its licensed location of 157 Orange Street. They have a seasonal package store license. Since they no longer have legal right to occupy those licensed premises, they are allowed to apply for an alteration, which is a change of location. They are allowed to do so. What we will do after this renewal is officially notice them that they have 6 months to apply for a change of location. After that, it becomes something that's called a pocket license, where sometimes people will pocket a license and, try to hold on to it till they figure things out. And the state legally gives us 6 months is a generally accepted period of time to allow for that. So at that time, if we don't hear back, and that would be September period, we can move to cancel that license. Again, this is something that's under the quota, and we have 0 licenses available under that quota. So we certainly don't want to have a pocket license out there, but want to allow the licensee time to figure things out, which they are doing. So again, they are going to renew to keep that active while they figure things out. And if they change the location, it'll come back to you for a public hearing. Secondly, Epernay at 1 Beach Street, which we'll be doing a transfer license. We need to renew the existing license again to keep that active while the transfer goes through. So that will be active under the existing ownership until that transfer goes through. Everything else, we recommend approval again of the renewal to keep that going through the process. If anything is to change in the next 3 weeks of March, we'll come back again in April to adjust. But right now, this looks to be the situation with all these licenses. Any questions?
Matt?
Yeah, Amy, if so in the case of a relocation, does all the same rules apply? If we feel like an area is adequately served, we're not required to give it to that area, correct?
Absolutely. It's under the
Okay.
same rules. Absolutely. So, and I've made the licensee aware of all of that and all of the considerations we generally go for. Absolutely.
Right. So they just
Not a
can't,
guarantee.
you can't pocket it and then put yourself right next to someone else. I got you. All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we've certainly reviewed that with them, and we'll do so when if they apply for a new location. Absolutely.
And I'm not claiming they're doing that. I'm just
Oh,
asking
yeah.
in general.
No, absolutely. It's a good question.
Okay, anybody else? Is there a motion?
Move approval of all that she just mentioned.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, all those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously. Next up, we have Nantucket Island Chamber of Commerce. We have an A and a B request for the Sconset tailgate at the Daffodil Parade and annual request waiver for the picnic.
Great, thank you. Yep, so it's almost Daffodil Festival time. Welcome, Peter and Bianca there from the chamber. This is the annual request. Number one is we have to have approval and execution of the Mass Department of Transportation event notification form as our parade takes place on a state highway, which is Milestone Road. So it's a sign off we need from the select board on that parade route, and also our annual request for waiver of Chapter 54, 1 Part C of the Code of Town of Nantucket, which is for open containers. Obviously, we have the picnics along the side of the road there, so we ask for waiver for that day for Sconset area as well. And we've talked in the past about that. I think Marina added here in the AIS different conditions for those locations. I will say in the past couple of years with Peter and Bianca, it is improved tremendously. The working relationship has been fabulous. Peter's head of the chamber, I love, because we had an issue with not an issue, but trying to get all the cars that come in and make sure they're in the parade and have permits. And he's like, yep, I got it. He puts on a yellow vest, gets there and does it himself. So I'd like to thank him for that. It's been a much better dealing working relationship, and the issues we've had with commercialization or drinking or things of that sort. They've been a great partner in that. So I'd just like to acknowledge that, and I will leave it to the board with any questions or if they want to talk about this year's events.
I mean, this is something we do every year. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Is there a motion?
Well, my concerns were just answered. What is the commercialization aspect taken away? And it sounds like it is, which is great. So I'll make a motion to approve it and approve the waiver of Chapter 54(1)(c).
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously. Peter, I saw you were going to speak, but
No, I was going to say, in answer to Matt's question, the only, obviously we are very cognizant of the, and the responsibility and we're grateful for the waiver of the alcohol, conditions to make us have, let us have our wine at the picnics, which is great. Obviously, we are trying to balance that out with heavy marketing about, assigning designated drivers and providing non-alcoholic beverages for, parade goers if they so choose. And that would be the only place we would have commercialization. We might try to bring in a sponsor of the juice of the day for any driver of a car kind of thing. So we're obviously very cognizant that that is a community event and we don't want to over commercialize it. And we appreciate everyone's working with us to let that happen.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank
just a
you,
second,
guys.
Peter,
Thank
if you don't mind. The only other thing we do offer is if nonprofit sponsors would like to set up, like Fairwinds or something like that, we do allow them to set up and have like a tablecloth, but we won't allow like banners and crazy stuff like that. And it's usually like community facing, like giving back to the community, like TaskCon or Fairwinds that we would allow that for. So that'd be the only banners you'd see out there.
Okay.
Just want to be back
Okay.
there.
Okay, everybody good? All right, next up, we have our public hearings, licensing and petitions, public hearings. Number one is public hearing to consider application of a transfer of the seasonal all alcoholic beverages package store license from ACDC Promotions LLC, DBA Epernay, Jenny Benzie, manager, to E&B Holdings Inc., DBA Epernay, Elizabeth Pereira, manager. This is located at 1 North Beach Street.
Great, thank you. And as we mentioned earlier, we're renewing the license with ACDC Promotions, Jenny Benzie, while this transfer goes through. And I met with both Jenny, who's been a wonderful licensee for us for the past few, how many years, Jenny? I don't know, 5, 10.
We've been 11 years, and Amber Cantella, Amber and David had it for 5 years before that.
Right. So it's a long existing location. And she's working with Elizabeth, who's here to transfer the business there, as you know, we discussed, and we can see what she's moving on to be focusing on, which is a good thing. So the business is in good form. We've gotten all that we need for there. And they are working together to make this transfer. So it's not just a handover. Jenny's been very involved in working with Elizabeth on that, which is, I think, great for us. So no objections or concerns in that area. One thing, Erica, we're going to have to, I just need to check the pledge of license on the form that the select board signs, because as I read through the purchase and sale, there's a pledge. So we need just to indicate that. So I will change that for you. So I believe that's it. And obviously the usual considerations here as I put that, but everything's the same type of license that has existed with the previous operation. And as it is a quota, there's no other option but a transfer as we have no new licenses available. So I'll leave it there if there's any questions.
Okay, Erica?
I was just wondering, when they do their motion, do they have to include an approval of a pledge of license as well?
Yeah, I would say the transfer of a liquor license with the liquor license as a pledge would be best for the motion. And just to indicate as well that once I noticed this, I just made sure it didn't have to be advertised. It does not. So we didn't need to go change a public notice or anything of that sort. So it's just indicating it on the signing form.
This is a public hearing. Before we close the public hearing, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? There's only one attendee, which is Kirk. So I guess not. Does somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously 4-0. Is there a motion to approve the transfer and the pledge?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously 4-0. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up, we'll open a public hearing to consider an application for a seasonal all alcoholic beverages general on-premise license for the Theater Workshop, DBA Theater Workshop of Nantucket. Bethany Oliver, manager, for premises located at 62 Center Street.
Don, I have to recuse on this. I'm the finance board chair at the church
Okay,
where they are. So I'm going to bow out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now, this is an application for a new seasonal general on-premises all alcohol beverages liquor license application, full license. As I've mentioned here in the past, the theater workshop has done one-day pouring permits for different events and for shows, usually 3-day kind of spans through the years. We have a limit on the number of those that they can do. So they've been kind of working on getting to this point where they could have a full liquor license. A general on-premise is something that is usually for event type of facilities, does not require a common vicular or active food service. As I mentioned, some of the other ones in town that have the same type of liquor license is White Heron Theater, Dreamland Theater, the Chicken Box for no food there, PPX Events, and Nantucket has a general on premise because of a bathroom situation, but the other ones are event related as well. So couple things, the usual considerations for a new license for you to think about, appropriateness of a liquor license at a particular location. Obviously, we always consider the closeness to a church or school. This is as close as you can get, obviously, but the First Congregational Church has submitted, obviously, a letter of its approval as it is the property owner. It approved the application for a permanent liquor license. The number of existing dispensaries were at 106 right now. We've had no public comments. Again, traffic, noise, and size. In previous hearings that we had when we issued an entertainment license at this location and did one-day pouring permits, the only concern we would get from the neighbors was noise from any outdoor area type of receptions, but that is not part of this application. It is going to be interior space only in the performance area and reception area. So we have no noise complaints on record in the past 5 years for this location. And the sort of operation that carries the license, obviously, this has been a nonprofit arts organization contributing to Nantucket for over, I believe, 65 years. I'll just say that, again, the background has been they've been applying for temporary one-day pouring permits. I included what those guidelines are and the limitations of that. So this hopefully will help them be able to provide this service for all shows, not worrying about the last minute nature sometimes of things and being able to do that. We certainly ask that they had locked storage, which they're providing in the facility, and obviously understand the great responsibility of this. We don't have any concerns there. And one thing also, as we consider this, I would like to consider a waiver of the $2,000 new license fee that we determined a few years ago in the fee increase, I believe, for a nonprofit arts organization. We can consider waiving that 1-year fee that we usually put on top of the annual fee for liquor licenses. So I will leave it there and ask for questions.
Any questions? This is a public hearing. Matt?
Have we waived that fee for the other nonprofits as well, like White Heron, et cetera?
When White Heron applied, there wasn't a fee, and that fee was established right before the pandemic. So we've probably applied it maybe 2-3 times to brand new commercial ones. We haven't had this come up, and this came up when we were discussing it, and I thought, oh, I think this is an example that we would request. I don't think it was meant for that situation.
Okay. There's no attendees, so I don't think we'll have any public comments. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? Matt, that's you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, we have no Brooke. All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon.
Aye.
Matt Fee.
How do I vote, Don? You're telling me what do I do? No, I'm fine.
Sorry, very bossy.
You sound like my wife. Sheila's you proud beats me all morning.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously. Is there a motion to approve and to approve the fee waiver?
Motion to approve both, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon.
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously 3-0. Thanks, Bethany.
You.
Thank you all. Hope to see you there this season.
Definitely.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Last up, we have a public hearing to consider an application for multiple amendments to the annual wine and malt beverage general on-premise license for Nantucket. Cynthia Malonzo, manager for premises located at 21 South Water Street, including change of classification from annual to seasonal wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverages, additional sidewalk seating, and extension of service hours from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Request for determination that the premise license to sell alcoholic beverages is not detrimental to the spiritual activities of a church.
Great,
Amy?
thank you. Thank you. So we're discussing Nantucket, as you said, on 21 South Water Street. Generally asking to go from annual to seasonal, which is understandable, most of their seating being outdoors, and the plan to expand into the retail space was difficult. So they're asking to go to seasonal time and from wine and malt to all alcohol. They're asking for extension of their service hours of alcohol to 10 p.m. And I'll address that in a minute. An addition of one more 4-top table for a total of 5 tables in their sidewalk seating in the front. So wine and malt to all alcohol. They want to have some different canned options, and margarita type thing, obviously, with their type of food would work well. What I've asked for a condition on that, and they fully agree, is to make sure that we have dedicated server serving those alcoholic beverages, that it's not a take from the counter and go out there, because it gets, a little dicey down there and people think they can walk away with it. So they certainly are committed to that, having the dedicated server to those tables, and no one is bringing their drinks themselves. They are being served and taken away by a server. So that would be an absolute recommendation we would have on that. The extension of service hours to 10 p.m. When they first came in and wanted to do this, and it was mostly sidewalk seating, they kind of closed themselves on liquor as a condition to see how this works at 8 p.m. They'd like to go to 10 p.m., which really, as we've discussed previously, liquor licenses by statute are allowed till 11 p.m. unless there's other sort of conditions to bring it down. Everyone else is allowed on the sidewalk till 10 p.m. That seems reasonable. To Rose and Crown being right next door as well, being allowed that, again, as long as there is a dedicated server to that alcohol service. To 10 p.m. seems, and that's an administrative move as well. In addition, we submitted a photo there of what it looks like. When they first came in, they wanted to do 5 tables of 5 4-top tables, which would be a total of 20 seats. The compromise was 16 seats on the 4 tables to see how that kind of played out. They'd like to go to the original, the additional request of the 5 tables, so that'd be one more table. The picture there shows kind of what that looks like. It would remain within the footprint of that building and not extend into any neighboring building. So those would be the 4 parts of that request. I'll leave it up to any questions.
My big question was going to be to ensure that there's the table service, because that's where it gets dicey if people are walking out with alcohol on their own. So were there any complaints that they weren't adhering to that in the past?
No, I have, and I talked to, I don't know if Lee and Cindy are here. I think they should be. I think last year, I remember at Daffodil, some of the CSOs having to say things to people or because it got crazy, as it does. So after that, not really. And they're very responsive. Lee and Cindy are very responsive. Any time comes up, no problem whatsoever with getting them to respond. So they recognize that and will be on top of that, I believe.
Okay, do other board members have questions? Tom?
Amy, so with the with the addition of the extra seating outside, and I'm not, of course, not saying it would be, but if there were an issue and the sidewalk was deemed too congested, could you go back to them and be like, hey, this isn't working? Can you go back to what was previous? That's something in your purview without coming all the way back to us?
We can, because this isn't an alteration of premise. The space that they're asking for exists. We are, the town of Nantucket is a property owner and the steward of that property. So as a condition of the agreement, which they have to sign, which I believe I included, that anyone has to sign that does the sidewalk agreement as property owner can come back and say that this isn't working, it's a public safety issue, or if it's a crowd issue, anything that blocks the sidewalk, absolutely.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, my concerns are, I'm worried about adding more, more seating there on that sidewalk. It is a bit, and especially if it's going from 8 to 10, because that's when downtown starts to get busier. And so I worry a little bit about that. I think closing at 8, sort of had a way of moderating it. As long as everyone has to be seated to have alcohol, I'm fine with, I'm fine with that. If they can stand around a table, I'd be worried, because I think that could be a good place for people to start their night, downtown. And so I think as long as they're seated and eating food, then I'm okay with that. You mentioned something about a bathroom. Can you just explain that?
Yeah, originally when they applied for the liquor license, they applied as a restaurant. The ABCC came back and said, even though our local regulations didn't require a bathroom for anything under 25 seats, that they would not approve a restaurant license without a bathroom on site. Even though there was a public bathroom within very close distance. So they required us to come back with a new application of general on premise, because that doesn't require a common vicular, which requires a bathroom. So it became a, kind of specific thing there. So they don't have a on-premise bathroom because they have fewer than 25 seats.
Just my own personal experience, I was forced to put a bathroom in, even though I don't have alcohol and I'm not a restaurant. And so it's sort of, it was, and this was Richard Ray 20 years ago, and it was more to do with the number of people in the requests, because I originally let them use a shared bathroom, and then we weren't allowed to do that any longer. And then, and the customers complained for a year or two. So I had to put a bathroom in, so I think it isn't just a liquor license thing. I think there is a need at some point to provide it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
No,
that's just my own, and the town has done that because they've done it to me. So I understand.
Yeah, and they are getting close. If they're up to 20 and they have like 2 seats inside, they're getting very close. It's a tough location.
It is. And the other part about it, the question I had is, they don't rent the entire building. So, so if you're part of if you're in Boston and you have, they do the table seating by the width of the building, of the part you rent. If you're next to a big Nike store and you're in the same building, you don't get the whole, all of that sidewalk. So that's, so how are we looking at that issue? They've rented a certain space, and then it's
the owner of the building and the retail store is part of the LLC and is approved of this. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of all one in a way, as far as ownership and that situation. Yeah.
Brooke?
I have concerns about expanding the seating, honestly. It's just such a highly congested location. And when we blocked off parking spaces, then had barriers and people could walk out on the street to get around, it was one thing. But I would not be in favor of the additional seating. I know we have to go to the 10 p.m. to make it consistent. And I have mixed feelings about the alcohol part of it a little bit, but I understand we did that for Surfside. And
right.
So I'm a little on the fence for that, but I don't see adding more seating in a place that's hard to navigate already.
Yeah. Great. Let me see why they're, if I may, why they're not. They've been emailing me this morning and I don't see them on the meeting. Erica, you don't see Cindy or Lee Malazzo
No, they haven't come on.
Yeah,
here.
I'm a little bit inclined to go with the direction Brooke's going in, and especially in light of the no bathroom facilities. I mean, they're basically relying on the town's public bathroom that only has 4 stalls up there to service like all of downtown. And it seems like it has not been consistent anymore with the opening of the Dreamland for public use,
Right.
which is another thing that we should talk about at some point. But I would be inclined to approve all of it except the additional seats, because they're not even asking for 2 more, they're asking for 4 more. Maybe if it was a little bit smaller of an ask, a 2-top table takes up a lot less space than trying to get 4 people around it. And I mean, I understand the shift just in what consumers want, with wanting to be all alcohol rather than wine and malt. I wish we had a category that was like, it has to be a canned drink. So it could encompass like the seltzers and everything that people seem to be drinking now. But I'm assuming they're not really going for a full mixed drink bar because they probably don't have space for it. And this is tough because they've changed the business model of this location, which was a full restaurant with a takeout window. Right. And now it's a full retail store with a takeout. So I think there's, there's got to be some compromise here. You've got the Rose and Crown and all of the retail and the overflow of the ice cream line coming all into this one location. So
okay,
that's my feeling, but I think we can probably close the public hearing because there's no attendees. Yeah.
Well, if I may, because they say that the owners, the applicants, and I want them to be able to speak. Oh, here's Lee is signed in, because I would like to give them a chance to speak if we may.
Okay.
They're there. They find I could see them. Do you see America?
Yep. Go ahead, Lee.
I may, because they say that the owners, the applicants, and I want them to be able to speak. So someone's.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry.
Hi, go ahead.
There was a little lag there because I was watching on Zoom. So I guess to address the outdoor seating, we went through this, I guess, last year, where we jumped through a number of hoops to get just those 4 tables. We had originally asked for 5, and we did a lot of work with the town on with the bathroom issue. And the statute is, from what we're to understand, under 25 seats, we don't have to require a bathroom. We've really worked hard to try to figure out how to require a bathroom, but one just doesn't exist. That's easily accessible from the restaurant. As far as the 5th table, that table would still be in front of the footprint of the building. And one of the reasons that we like to do that is there's 2 park benches a little further down in front of Annie and the Tees. And when our 4 tables are filled, people are going down there and sitting on the park benches, and in some cases leaving garbage. And I regularly patrol the sidewalk, and if I see any of my garbage, I'm throwing it away. We have a garbage can outside as well, so that they're not throwing the garbage in the public garbage cans, which we're emptying, 6 times a day, especially at night, because it fills up with everybody else's garbage. So we've been really working hard to manage that. Matt, to your point, rarely do we have anybody standing at a table, and if they are, they're usually standing in between the 2 tables, not on the sidewalk. I'm pretty good about coming out and telling people not to, put 6 people out of 4 top. So that's basically the reason that we're looking for that fifth table outside is to just satisfy the people who want to sit down and not have them sit on the park bench. Or we've had a problem, and I work closely with Deba on this. They'll sit at the Rosencrown tables. So that's why we're looking for that fifth table.
Okay, Amy?
I just want to, when I hear that, it's a couple things. I know you know this, that if they're sitting at Rosencrown tables, they can't be having alcohol because that gets us into trouble. And
No, we
that,
don't let them sit at Rosencrown. If
Yeah.
I see people with Nantucket, I go over, and trust me, Deb is she's on the case as well.
oh, absolutely. That just, and the ABCC wanders around and doesn't tell us, so that, stuff like that can get you in trouble quick. But definitely everything has to be seated, as far as we were talking about earlier, making sure there's a dedicated server for the alcohol. I think that's a big concern as well.
Which we did last summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had one incident where somebody didn't realize it was a new employee, and they let one person walk out with a beer, and that was the end of that. So
yeah,
no, we've been adhering to that all last year.
Matt?
Yeah, my point is, I think we have to proceed carefully. It's easier to, we have to proceed carefully so this doesn't become an issue that then a bunch of people are yelling and screaming at us saying, why did we let you do it? So if we're giving sort of two things, 2 hours longer, at the peak of the night plus the seat, I get where, so there's those two issues happening. If everything goes 100% smooth, no one says anything and everything's fine. If this becomes a poster child for some issues, then we're all back with complaints and talking about it. So I think, sort of my sort of theory on this is to let the, sort of let the horse out of the barn slowly, as opposed to opening the door. So I think that's where I'm thinking about it.
Brooke?
So,
I'll come back.
And I'll be honest with you, Lee, I understand your argument about providing more seating, but the next 4 people are going to use the benches, honestly. So that's not really a persuasive argument for me in terms of just the congestion on the sidewalk. So I think Don sort of took from where I was, which was doing the time, which we have to do, and the change to all alcohol, and hold the seating and see how the time change, as Matt said, the impact of that, and then see going forward.
I appreciate that. I guess I would ask, it's also, we need the business. We when we first applied, there was a lot of questions about, there's going to be a line down the street. We put a line protocol together. We never had a line. We were told, this is going to change Center Street because thousands of people are going to come to Nantucket, which I would love. But we're a struggling seasonal restaurant, just like, any other small business. So that additional seat would definitely help us, stay in business. And I would say that if you would grant us that additional seat, I would be happy to say, if there was a problem, Amy, if you were getting any complaints, if you're getting a complaint, it means I'm getting a complaint. So we would certainly ratchet that back. And if there was some way to sort of amend it to say that if there was an issue, we'll take care of it. I feel like there were a lot of potential issues that we addressed. And we've worked really hard to make sure that we're compliant and a part of the community, and not somebody that just comes in and, takes over. I would say, the juice bar has a huge line. The Rosencrown somehow, has a big group of people out front. Stubby's takes over the whole street. We haven't done any of that. And I'm not saying that any of they're all friends of mine. But I would hope that you could see that we're working hard. If it's a problem for the town, it's a problem for us. So If we could get that consideration for the extra seating, we'd be happy to pull it out if it became an issue. We're just trying to stay alive,
Thank you.
be open in our 700 square foot restaurant.
What about, this is to the board, what about a compromise of allowing a two top? Because then no one has their back into the sidewalk. But why don't we start with a motion to close the public hearing?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Tom Dixon.
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Don Holgate, aye. The public hearing is closed. What does everyone want to do? Somebody's going to need to to try some kind of a motion, and
Yeah,
don't forget
so-
it needs to include the spiritual activities.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we approve the extension of the hours, the change to all alcohol, but not the extra seating. And that it is, and the motion includes that it is not detrimental to the spiritual activities of church in the area.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second, so we discuss it.
So discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would just add that this is a tough one. I completely understand what the owners are asking for here. I just have concerns about what my fellow board members have relayed and congestion on that, and that since it is a public way and the town is responsible for keeping flow there, that we're kind of on the balance between the 20 to 25 and I get it, but this is a tough one.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it possible to, is there an opportunity to come back mid-season, or is this it for the season, for the extra seats?
They can come back. In this case, like I mentioned, it's not an application to the ABCC for an alteration of premise because it's the same premise. It's a landlord discussion basically on, allowing an extra seat or in that area. So it's certainly something that can be brought back, and I don't believe it's necessarily a public hearing on its own. And secondly, there's a couple things I'm thinking. One, obviously, we're seeing this across the board, is that people are struggling and need to find ways to obviously add to this business. I know they are one of the many that are now landlords and trying to, provide housing and staffing and all these extra layers. So, we certainly are seeing that a lot. These businesses struggling. The second part I wanted to bring up too is we currently still have the allowance that started in the pandemic for on-premise licenses such as this to sell with food only to-go orders with beer and wine, and in all alcoholic beverages there are limitations but allowances of that too. That is set to expire April 1st. It's possible that gets extended or that they are trying to consider regulations for that, but I can't answer that question because last year they told me it was going away, and literally on March 31st they said, oh, one more year. So that's still kind of floating in the wind right now. If they allow that to continue, that's an extra source there for folks to sell that. But I can't answer that question yet. So.
Okay. I'm going to vote against this just because I think that I would allow an additional 2 seats on a trial basis. Because I think that would eliminate impeding the sidewalk, which is our main concern. And maybe eventually we could go to 4, but I'm not, that would be the one thing that I would change. Matt?
And I looking at the picture, Don, I think what they've put there looks consistent and looks nice. And so I'm not so much thinking 2 or 4 seats. I'm just worried about going a little too fast and having some sort of backlash. I don't believe that we have to approve till 10 just because we're approving it elsewhere. Some places will be different. Some places may have more of an impact, at boat times or at certain times of night, if people are all waiting outside. There's some, I don't think that we're stuck with that. I do worry a little bit about sort of we're setting a precedent with sort of saying, well, you're in this building, so you can use the whole building. I worry about that precedent. And again, I don't think we have to I think in this case, it's fine. The footprint of the building is fine. But say the juice bar came to us and said, hey, we're in the same building as Rosencrown, and we want to go all the way around, Phil Osley's shop. We want to have juice bar tables next to Phil Osley's shop because it's family. We can do that, right? We wouldn't want to be doing that. We need the space for, so I think, and I'm using that as an example of something we wouldn't do because they take up so much space just for their line. But the precedent would kind of indicate we'd have to do that. And I'm saying, I don't think we have to. So I'm fine with the emotion, or I'm fine with it, whatever the board wants to do.
Brooke?
Amy, could you please explain the hours? Because I thought there was something where we had to be consistent. Did I misunderstand that?
Yep. So, Lee, real quick, Lee, may I ask, how many seats do you have inside at the counter there? Do you have like 2 seats inside?
We have a high top with 2 seats inside, and then we have 16 outside.
Yeah. Okay. So that was specifically why I was asking that. So the service inside can be counted as this, but as far as local licensing authorities setting hours during which restaurants can serve alcoholic beverages on weekdays, we're tough here because we're general on premise, but the statute is to limit. Mass state law says that section 12 licensees, which they are, cannot be barred from serving alcohol between 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They may grant extended opening hours after that or before till 2 a.m. and no event can sales be made obviously between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. So state law says that they should not be barred from that, as they have 2 seats indoors that would cover the 11 p.m. Requirement. And then obviously there are exceptions for certain zoning and special permit situations. And in this case, you being the landlords of that space, of this being public space, that area can be different hours based on, what the determination of the owner is.
Okay. So we can limit it, but okay,
yes.
Great. I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was my point. That was my point that because it's our, it's our property, town property. That was my point, is that we don't have to say everyone can go to 10 or everyone can go to 11 if it's detrimental. And I'm not claiming they are detrimental here, but I'm saying if they become detrimental or someone else does, we don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only point.
Amy?
I will highlight the most everyone is till 10. We do have an exception, whereas Lemon Press, for example, is only allowed dinner service from 5 to 10 p.m. because of their line in the morning and it being just a high traffic street. So we do have other exceptions when that is needed.
Brooke, are you all set?
No, that's good. I just, thanks for that clarification. I had the fact that we're the landlords gives us the flexibility to limit. Okay. So I'm going to hold my motion where it is.
Okay. We'll go to a vote if there's no other comments. Tom Dixon?
Aye.
Matt Fee?
Aye.
Brooke Moore?
Aye.
I'm going to vote nay, just because I think we could allow a couple more seats, but motion carries.
Okay, may I confirm that the motion is allowing from annual to seasonal, service hours to 10 p.m. and change to all alcohol, but no additional seating?
Correct. And that we determined that it was not detrimental to the spiritual activities of the neighboring churches.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
And we could revisit this in the summer.
Okay. Keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. I'm willing to let's get through a few busy weekends and get into it. And, if not this summer, I'd be willing to reconsider it next year if there's no complaints and it hasn't caused an issue. If a couple more hours hasn't caused an issue, I'd be willing to reconsider as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Is there a
Thanks,
motion?
you guys.
Before you adjourn,
Yep.
on item number 2, you did not do the detrimental to the spiritual activities
Yeah,
motion.
yes. We did it included. Should I
Good.
go on Article
No,
2?
you included it with, I thought you did it with the petition.
The theater workshop, are you mentioning?
No, you approved
Oh, on number 2.
application with the approval of the fee waiver. You didn't do the detrimental part.
Oh, okay. Well, let's let's just do that to make
I'll
sure.
move that it's not detrimental.
Is there a second, Tom?
Second.
All those in favor by roll call? Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fay.
Aye.
John Holgate, aye. That carries 3-0. Brooks recused. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved,
So
Madam
moved.
Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call? Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fay.
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
John Holgate, aye. That carries unanimously 4-0. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Amy.
Thank
I
you
think
for your
this was-
time.
I think this is successful doing these meetings.
Yeah, I think so. I really appreciate your time. It's been good for us too. So thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
bye,
you all.
All right, awesome. Thanks.
Bye.